Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 6th of June of 2023. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And as usually and currently the most important and the most interesting updates are coming from Vremevka tactical bridgehead and of course from Zaporozhye, from Kherson area, from Nova Kakhovka dam. But first we're going to start with Vremevka tactical bridgehead. As you can see, I have added another icon, the Battle of Vremevka tactical bridgehead, because today we've got the first numbers of the battle. Currently, I'm not saying that this battle is over, but the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, Shoigu, gave us first numbers, so let's discuss them. The Minister of Defense reported that the Russians, the main forces, and he's saying that the Ukrainians were defeated, and during the previous 3 days, the Russians won those 3 days of that battle. The main Russian forces were the 37th and 60th Motorized Brigade and 433rd Motorized Regiment. So when talking about this map, we can find these brigades located in this area. On every single deployment map you can find in the open source. The main Ukrainian forces who were defeated during the previous 3 days were 23rd, 31st, 37th and 68th Jaeger brigades, and we can also find these brigades on the front line. This is 23rd, this is 31st, this is 37th, and this is 68th Jaeger brigade that is located between, let's say, Velika Novoselovka and Ugledar. And the Russians are saying that as a result of those defense operation or Ukrainian storming operation, the Ukrainians lost 3,715 soldiers. They haven't provided us information about the number of wounded or killed. So anyway, I believe that this number includes either the wounded and killed soldiers. Furthermore, the Russians reported they destroyed 52 tanks, 207 fighting armored vehicles, 134 regular vehicles, and 48 artillery systems. Also, the Russians reported that the Russians lost just 281 soldiers, including 220 wounded and 71 killed. Of course, it's up to you to believe or not these numbers, and according to the Ministry of Defense, the ratio between Russian losses and Ukrainians is 1-52. This is a very crazy number, of course, and it's up to you to believe or not, but there are a lot of things that hard to believe, of course. And for example, today the Ministry of Defense also published the video how was they're saying that as a result of attacks of helicopters or probably other types of weapons, they managed to destroy Leopard, the second Leopard, and this video ran around the world. And after a few hours of that, after the Ministry of Defense published this video, a lot of bloggers and military experts reported that wasn't a Leopard, and that was just a regular tractor, just a regular agricultural tractor. And after that, a lot of people start saying that how the worldwide can believe the numbers that are provided by the Ministry of Defense if they publish a photo and video of destroying a regular agricultural tractor. And of course, it's a lot of questions about this. And after that, the Russians bloggers, I believe, were trying to find a solution how to reduce the negative things in direction of Ministry of Defense, and they published a video of agricultural tractor, and they're saying that this is also a Leopard, but it's not a tank. It's a Leopard, it's not a tank. So they were saying that the Russians did destroy Leopards, but nobody saying that the Russians destroyed tank Leopards. They destroyed just a regular agricultural tractor. So this is the situation about Vremevka bridgehead. Furthermore, the Russians reported that Ukrainians lost every single settlement they managed to capture during the previous days of clashes, and they left Novodonetsk, but the Russians reported that they attacked in this area. By this evening of the local time of the 6th of June, the Ukrainians regrouped on the north of Novodonetsk and made another attempt to attack this settlement. And the Russians are saying that by current time, they managed to return control over the northern part of this settlement, and currently the Ukrainians are trying to maybe to build or bridgehead in this area, or let's say to establish finally positions, and after that they will continue proceeding further to the south, trying to push the Russians back in direction of Kremenchuk. So the Ukrainians will continue advancing and continue attacking the Russians in this direction. When talking about Niskuchna and when talking about Novodarivka, Rovnopol, there were no changes from this area during the previous 24 hours. The only thing that the Russians reported that Ukrainians lost helicopter Mi-8 in the vicinity of Novopol. Furthermore, at the same area of South Donetsk and Zaporozhye area, the Ukrainians lost one Su-27 in the vicinity of Andriivka, and also the Ukrainians lost another Su-25 in the vicinity of Ugledar. Probably, as we know, Su-25 the Ukrainians use for supporting of storm operations, sometimes to support and defend the Su-24 aircraft that can carry Storm Shadow missiles, and Su-27s the Ukrainians were using probably to shut down or destroy the Russian Su-34 that during the previous 3 days were walking in the area of Vremevka tactical bridgehead and South Donetsk area. When talking about South Donetsk area, this front line is calm, no changes. The only update that the Russians reported, they destroyed the ammo depot of 108 Defense Brigade in the vicinity of Sherbaki. And when talking about deployment map, this brigade, the main forces of that brigade is currently located in the vicinity of Vremevka and Niskuchna, and probably the Ukrainians keep these defense forces to protect the territory that the mechanized forces will try to capture during the next days of offensive operation. Now we are going to Kherson area, to the dam. As you know, somebody destroyed the dam. First, the Ukrainian authorities and Zelensky himself reported that the dam was destroyed by the Russian forces, by the Russian side. After that, we got a lot of updates from the Western countries, where the Western authorities were blaming the Russians in this disaster and this pollution and so on. And but today, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, Shoigu, gave his own report, and he told that the dam was destroyed by the Ukrainian HIMARS missile. And I believe you saw all those videos in my previous videos, and I believe that not many times during the day you saw all those videos of the dam, how the dam was destroyed. There were a lot of fake videos, fake updates about the explosion above the dam. That was the very old video, as the video with tractor and so on. But anyway, as we understand, as the fast effect, as the benefits, as the things that took place after the dam was destroyed, is that the Ukrainians and the Russians, either the Ukrainians and the Russians, were forced to leave the islands on the Dnipro River, and there were a lot of video updates about how the boats were crossing the river from one bank to another, moving the Ukrainian or either the Ukrainian or the Russian forces. Some Russian sources are saying that the Russians haven't left their position, just the Ukrainians left the islands and so on. But anyway, another photo shows that almost every single island in this area went under the water, under the surface. Furthermore, the Russians published the photo of Oleshki. As you can see, this is the Antonov Bridge. This one, you can find this on this map. This is Antonov Bridge, by the way. And as you can see, based on this photo, we see that mainly the Ukrainian bank of the Dnipro River hasn't suffered from this flooding. As you can see, just the Russian side of the Dnipro River was flooded. And this is the benefit for the Ukrainians. Currently, they managed to keep and save their positions, and the Russians were forced to step back from the edge defense line a little bit deeper inside of the mainland. The Russians are saying that there are no worries about this. They managed to create another defense line somewhere behind this territory, like on the line between Gladovka, Radinsk, Velike Kokopony. So they're saying that there is no problem about this. But the Russians, also the Minister of Defense, reported that the reason why the Ukrainians destroyed the dam was that they were defeated on the Vremevka tactical bridgehead, that during the previous In 3 days, they haven't managed to establish control over even a single settlement, that they had a lot of losses and around 4,000 soldiers. So it's up to one mechanized brigade, even more, were destroyed during those days. And now the Ukrainians understand that they need to move more forces from Kherson area. And there are, as you know, 21st, 22nd, 41st, 38 Marine brigades. There are like 117th, 18th, 118th Brigade. All those brigades were trained and prepared in the Western countries, and based according to the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, the Ukrainians now need to move all these brigades, or at least the major part of these brigades, to Zaporozhye and Vremevka tactical bridgehead, or at least in the vicinity of Nikopol, and to attack the Russian position and increase the and pressure. And for these purposes, we understand the Ukrainians will be forced to reduce their power and their mighty on the vicinity of Kherson, and that was the reason why they destroyed the dam, because not to allow to prevent any attacks from the Russian side during this relocation and redeployment process. When talking about the Russians, they also have some benefits. They could achieve some benefits as a result of that attack. First of all, the talks about regrouping and securing this area and preventing this area from any attacks works in both favor, not just in Ukrainians. By destroying the dam, the Russians also could secure themselves from any attack from the Ukrainian side into the Kherson flank, at least for the next few days during the most active, intensifying phase of fightings and clashes on Vremevka tactical bridgehead. Now let's talk about Energodar and Nikopol, about these territories. The Ukrainians lost another Su-25 in the vicinity of the settlement by the name of Babina, and furthermore the Russians reported that Ukrainians during the day made at least one attempt to cross Dnipro River exactly in the direction of that settlement Babina, and probably the Su-25 was to secure and support the Ukrainian Marines who were trying to cross to bypass the river. That Su-25 was destroyed and that attack was repelled. Furthermore, the Russian sources are saying that and the Ukrainians confirms, of course, that the level of Dnipro River exactly in the vicinity of Energodar and Nikopol goes down because the water from this area goes to the south in direction of Kherson, and the level of water in the vicinity of Kherson rises, as we saw based on this picture, and the level is going to continue rising. So that means that soon the distance between Nikopol and the bank or opposite bank of the river will be reduced because of the fact that the water goes from this area. And the Russian sources are saying that probably the Ukrainians will make few attempts, or at least they will try to cross Dnipro River in this area and to attack the Zaporozhye power plant. And this is also the purpose why they took a decision to destroy the dam and to move the water from this area. Anyway, we'll see. The Ministry of Defense also added that as a result of fighting in Kherson area, the Ukrainians lost 25 soldiers and 2 armored vehicles. Now we are going further, and now we are going to talk about Marinka. The Russians are at the final stage of the Battle of Marinka. Today they published the video of attacks of flamethrower systems TOS-1A, and as you can see, the Russians currently were attacking the western edge of the settlement. So basically, based on the previous experience we have, that means that the Russians has almost reached the western outskirts of the settlement, and as I understand, they are like at the final stage, at the final streets to storm, and the settlement is going to fall probably maybe even on this week or something like this. When talking about Donetsk area, Avdiivka and all these settlements, there were no updates about numbers, neither about the numbers nor about any activity and so on. Now we are moving to Bakhmut, to Artyomovsk area. The Ministry of Defense reported that Ukrainians made few attempts to attack the Russian flanks. The Ukrainians were attacking using the 5th Brigade from Ivanovska in direction of Klishevka. Also, another attempt the Ukrainians made to attack from Bogdanovka in the area of Berkhovka, and yesterday we discussed that operation, that as a result of that attack the Ukrainians probably managed to establish control over this artillery back, but the Russians, after concentrated their artillery fire upon this territory, and the Ukrainians, having heavy losses, were forced to step back from this bridgehead on their main positions. Also, the Russians reported that this attack on the northern flank was made by the forces of 77th Air Mobile Brigade. So probably this brigade replaced the positions of 67th or 92nd Mechanized Brigade. And also the Russians claim that they destroyed another ammo depot in the vicinity of Bogdanovka that belonged to 57th Motorized Brigade. Probably the Ukrainians were planning to attack in direction of Berkhovka from two sides, from Grigorievka in direction of Dubovo-Vasilievka and from Bogdanovka in direction of Berkhovka, but because of the fact that the 57th Brigade lost their ammo depot, they couldn't launch their offensive operation, and the Ukrainians were forced to continue using just 177th Brigade that was defeated in the vicinity of Berkhovka. When talking about Sever's front line, I believe that today, for the first time during the previous months, we haven't received any updates from this territory. I believe that there were clashes, but they were not so important in comparison with activity in Artyomovsk, Vremevka Tactical Bridgehead, and Kherson Dam, Kakhovka Dam. And now let's talk about the north, about the Kupyansk front line. The Ukrainians reported that they launched a counter-offensive operation in direction of Nizhnya Duvanka, and the Russians are saying that the Ukrainians used around 6 tanks and other types of vehicles. The Russians moved the reserves in this direction to repel the Ukrainians' attack, and currently there are still clashes, and I believe later we are gonna receive more updates about the results of this small tactical battle. Starting after, as soon as the dam was destroyed, as soon as we received the first numbers of the battle for Vremevka Tactical Bridgehead, we stopped receiving updates from Belgorod, or at least the level of those updates reduced. Probably the Ukrainians stopped attacking and shelling the settlement, and all these things are entirely connected between each other. The results of first days of Vremevka battle, the Belgorod shelling, and the situation with them. Another interesting update is coming from Kiev today. After the dam was destroyed, the President Zelensky made a meeting, and he called all his most important people of Ukrainian power, of Ukrainian authorities, and on this photo, this is a fresh photo, you can find Zelensky itself, and also you can find Zaluzhny. So that means that this photo confirms that everything is okay with Zaluzhny, he is alive. But if you take a look at this picture, you're only gonna find one important person, and I'm talking about the head of Ukrainian intelligence, Budanov. And we had added a note about him that probably he was killed on the 29th or 30th of May as a result of Russian Kinzhal or dagger attack. But the other sources are saying that Budanov these days was redeployed to Kherson, and currently he's the one who controls and coordinates the operation in Kakhovka Dam, and he was exactly the executor and the main controller of that operation and of that explosion on that territory. So this is the situation. Two options: or he is dead, or he was in Kherson and controlled the situation on this bank of the river. Very interesting, but believe me, I believe that within the next few days we're going to understand and realize who exactly did that operation, because anyway, who is going to continue and who is going to make next step is the side which responsible for that attack. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.